Welcome to This Is True Really
Can you
News.
imagine the next poor Uber driver, by the way?
Who are you? What is your dad like?
I mean, do they have a place where you get, like, in businesses, they have the cork board where you put a picture, don't take checks, don't serve this man.
Yep.
Call the cops kind of thing, right?
Yep.
Do they have that with Uber somewhere? Because I can just imagine that guy. You want to pick up? No.
Nope. Not going to do it. Wouldn't be prudent.
Do we have any Green Beret operating Ubers in the area?
That would be nice. Or Delta operators that just, kind of like to cruise around.
I would say Navy SEALs, but it'd be beneath them.
Coming up today on This Is True Really News, it's about the kids.
Oh.
I got a couple of kids stories.
Are there ever... Oh, good. Because there are usually... Whenever someone says it's about the kids, it's never about the kids.
They're usually being demagogues. Yeah, well, in this case, I'm not.
Okay.
Now, if you like stories about kids and demagogues, please like, subscribe, and follow This Is True Really News. The liking really helps us, so your regulars, please hit the doggone like button.
Even if you don't like it, just hold your nose.
Yeah, hold your nose and vote. So, and leave a comment wherever you find us. We love comments. We read them live on Saturdays. So, well, not live. We read them on Saturdays.
We read them dead on Saturdays.
Yes, that's right. And you can also send us, stories if you'd like us to cover a specific story. That would be very nice to TITR@netradio.network.
This is True, Really News with Scott Combs and Tony Vercanis. All the news you're about to hear is true,
Really?
as far as you know.
Well, isn't that sweet?
That was easy.
We just celebrated Mom's Day.
Yay, moms!
So in Puxatawny, Pennsylvania, we now know that Phil's offspring have names. Remember that they were expecting.
Yes, yeah. Mrs. Phil was preggers.
They were expecting groundhogs, I'm sure, and they got them.
Wow, how weird is that?
They now have names that just might help the famed weather forecasting groundhog predict when spring will begin. Because
spring's already here.
Phil and his partner Phyllis.
Yes.
Are they partners? Are they married? Can groundhogs marry?
They're common law groundhogs.
Oh, okay. On Mother's Day, they announced that 2 kits born this spring have been named Sunny and Shadow. Shadow would be the young son of Phil and Phyllis. Sunny would be the daughter. Which is true until they hit their teen years. Then Sunny will be grumpy and become a dwarf. Each spring, you only raise sons, boy. You got to meet a teenage daughter when she's in a mood.
I have never wanted. Actually, I didn't care if we had daughters, but Anne ordered only sons, so we did.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I did.
See, once we had a daughter, they said, I suppose you want a son this time, huh? No, I kind of like the girl thing. It works.
Yeah, right up until she was, 16, 14?
10
or so.
11, 12. Actually, 8th grade. I had the world's perfect daughter, and I'll deny that if she hears this. It's AI talking. Where was I? She was the perfect daughter, but she had 1 year.
8th grade.
In 8th grade, when my wife and I looked at each other, my God, she's turned into Eric. My son. Eric, by the way, didn't have that one good year. He had all Eric years. Yep. Every spring, Phil makes a prediction about the length of the remaining winter, and we all wait with bated breath. And honestly, I hate that day because the worms are just not that good.
I've never liked the taste.
If you're wondering, if you want to write this down for next year, just so you know, if he sees his shadow, 6 more weeks of cold. If he doesn't see his shadow, in early spring, about 6 weeks. Dan McGinley, Vice President of the Puxatawny Groundhog Club Inner Circle. Not just a normal Groundhog Club. They have the special whisker.
Sounds like a groundhog cult.
According to McGinley, the kits are not his replacements, by the way. They are not the heir and spare apparent. Sunny and Shadow will not be part of the ceremony. It's still Phil's job. There's still but one Punxsutawney Phil.
They're not fooling anyone,
Oh, they actually asked for suggestions on the groundhog's names. And yet,
that's what they got?
when it all came down to it, Club President Tom Dunkel made the final decision anyway. So they ended up with Sonny and Shadow. They should have named him Sonny.
Yep.
The little boy kid.
Cher.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much.
No problem. She could wear a gownless evening strap.
Yep, and sing "I Got You, Babe" with
Shorty.
zero conviction whatsoever. Actually, if you hear the early recording, she was in love with the boy.
Oh, yeah.
Later on, she was singing a song.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, if you're wondering, the Groundhog family is now set up residence in their climate-controlled burrow at the local library.
Is it also rent-controlled?
I don't know. Do they have one other little groundhog there with a little Alfred with a little tie and tails?
Opening
they
the
have
door.
tails. Bringing them tea. Letting them get to the groundhog cave. Wait, they're in the groundhog cave.
Uh-huh. So it's all about the kids here.
So that's why there are no groundhog superheroes, among other reasons.
There was an 8-year-old boy whose lips were turning blue. He was hardly moving and babbling. His tests came back. The potassium levels so low.
How low were they?
Child's heart was about to fail.
That's not good.
Kid also had other issues. Doctor calls for emergency medical transport to a children's hospital in Tampa. Both the mother and grandmother say, just give him the prescription and we'll pray to Jesus to save him and it'll be fine. We have bingo later and I'm not driving to no Tampa.
No.
They remove the child's IV and head for the door. They are informed they're making a horrible choice. They must get the child to treatment because he's near the end. They say, we have hair and nail appointments. Jesus will save him.
No.
Oh, Jesus did. Through the doctors. They called Child Protective Services.
See, part of me hates, there's nothing good about this story.
And they were brought back. I know. That's horrible. That's why I have a second story.
There is nothing about any of that story. Because I don't like when Child Protective Services gets involved because I don't trust them either.
Yeah, but I don't trust this mom and grandma at all.
Either. So there we are.
Yeah. My early years class had just finished up their recess and were getting ready for nap time.
I love nap time.
I decided to check on
right up until I was 70.
I decided you're not 70 yet. We turn 66 when? Shortly on the 18th of June.
Correct.
So, but
we don't want time until I was 70.
We don't want anybody to make a fuss.
Yes, we do.
No. As I looked through the bathroom, she was looking for stragglers.
We don't want anybody to make a fuss. What is wrong with you? Of course we do. That's why we mention it.
I'm trying to soft pedal it.
You just blurted it out loud twice.
No, I mean soft pedal the whole thing. So they go, oh, they don't want anybody to make a fuss. So I'm going to make a little fuss. Right?
Ann's check cleared, so sure.
Teacher decides to check on the stragglers still in the bathroom. Look through the bathroom window and glimpsed a scene that still makes me chuckle.
Uh-oh.
Two rather innocent 3-year-olds, a boy and a girl, are standing side by side with their pants around their ankles, aiming at mini urinals. At the same moment, they both started peeing. So there must have been a countdown or something. Little girl.
3, 2. Wait a minute. Now are we going on one or the next beat after one?
Exactly. Little girl was completely bewildered as to why her pee wasn't landing in the urinal like her best friend forever. I had to stifle a laugh when she asked me why her best buddy had a different aim game. That's just as cute as it gets.
Ask your mom.
Yeah, we'll tell you.
Yet, ask your dad.
Yeah, we'll tell you when you're 18.
Local. Yeah, 18 would work.
Yeah.
Local building codes can be a real pain in the tuchus, especially if they force you to change something about your property that's been, that way for years.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a building code, right? So you have to comply.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes, though, you may be able, with a little ingenuity, to give the regulators the old hee ah ha ha ha. And still,
and a couple of tra-la-las. That's how we are.
We're not in Oz, dude.
Oh.
No. Stop it. We're in California, which is weirder than Oz.
Well, it's Oz adjacent.
Lunatic adjacent. You may be able to give the regulators a piece of your mind and fulfill the questionable wishes at the same time, which is what a California man did. Notice he's a California man, not a Florida man. A Florida man would have pulled a gun on the Uber driver.
Yeah.
The city of Seaside ordered Etienne Constable to cover up the fishing boat that he keeps in his driveway when he is not fishing.
I saw this story. It's fantastic. The man's a genius.
Although it had been there for years, for some reason, at this moment, the city decided that Constable needed to know local code regulations require boats to be hidden by a fence.
It looked like it smelled of fish. I think that was the problem.
Sure. In California, that would probably be an argument. Constable wasn't exactly thrilled about the ultimatum, but what choice really did he have?
You have to comply.
You have two choices. Comply or
Get rid of the
pay a
boat.
fine and comply.
Or get rid of the boat.
Yeah,
So that's two choices.
Sure. Which is better than four. Constable wasn't exactly thrilled about the ultimatum, but his neighbor happens to be a rather skilled artiste. He does murals. Or is it murals?
Murals.
Yeah, it's Merle Haggard. Mural is the artwork.
Yeah, it's in Murrells Inlet, on the East Coast. That's where Dime lives, by the way, near there. Mike Dime? He lives near Murrells Inlet.
Walked right into that, didn't I?
I also
did. I know. I should have known better.
Also, I
took a breath. He started talking. We were screwed right from the get-go.
I do the voice response systems on the phone for Murrells Inlet's apothecary. So Mike may have heard my voice.
Isn't that
again?
The neighbor happens to be a rather skilled mural artist, so Constable put up the required fence.
Good for him.
And then hired his neighbor to paint an incredibly realistic image of that boat on it. So from the correct angles, it looks as if the boat is still right there in the driveway.
Which is fantastic.
And unlike how these stories normally go,
yep.
Normally the local authorities will get all hissy about it.
Yeah, and they can't.
No, they like it. They think it's kind of cool. They were impressed with the ingenuity to resolve the code problem.
Nice.
And they're idiots.
Yeah, right.
The key to the trick, of course, is Constable's neighbor, Hanif Pani, who happens to be a rather skilled painter, and Constable approached him with the idea to stick it to the man. A little bit.
Just a
little bit. He wanted him to paint a mural on his fence. He wanted to paint a mural on his fence. He chose Haggard.
Do you know where Murrells Inlet is? It's on the East Coast.
Depicting his fishing boat, and he wanted it to be as realistic as possible to make it seem like the fence wasn't even there. The painting, by the way, was not exactly inspired totally by the bureaucrats.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Constable thought the plain white fence was just plain butt ugly.
I would tend to agree with him because it's at the back of his driveway, and it just cuts off the property in a very strange way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now it looks so much better. It looks almost like they didn't do anything in the first place. From certain angles, because obviously 2D and 3D are different beasts.
This from Patrick Reed, our man in Liverpool.
Vladdy.
A family.
Ma'am.
Who found themselves disturbed.
Mom.
By a strange sound coming from inside their oven.
Did anyone tell them you had to kill the chicken first? Dumb clucks.
Spent hours pulling it apart.
Oh.
It happened, the weird noises happened at about 5:30 a.m.
Well, of course they do, because weird noises never happen at like 5:45.
And they spent hours pulling it apart, due in part to the fact that it was shoddily built. At one point, the guy was up in his attic and could only take it apart by destroying it. And then they decided to keep what was inside.
Gold bullion?
The husband and wife say they were constantly woken up in the night by gold bullion, whining and crying for its mommy.
Oh, but it'll grow up to be adult gold bullion that you can trade and spend. So
they eventually narrowed it down to their oven vent. After hours of attempting to disassemble it,
bearer bonds.
They found the source, and the bearer bonds were upset because they were naked. Get it?
They couldn't get much barer.
They discovered a cat trapped inside.
Oh. Did it eat the bear buns?
Maybe the pair said.
Was it dipped in gold bullion?
The pair said they were hoping the cat would come out on its own volition. It did not.
It's a cat.
So they had to put even more work to rescue the Moggy.
Have you ever tried to call a cat?
As you know, a Moggy is a cat, especially one that does not have a pedigree or is otherwise unremarkable.
It's a mutt.
It was a kitten cat.
A mutt kitten cat.
It was the tiny kitten cat.
Yeah.
It was adorable, and they haven't had cats in a while, so they've now adopted the little chimney freak. See, isn't that just heartwarming? Of course, they can't cook anything anymore.
Did you say heartwormy?
Heartwarming.
Oh, good, because heartwormy would be a dog thing.
I saw a story that I didn't use.
Oh, no.
About a lady who said she's got worms coming out of her tongue and cheeks, and the doctor was trying to tell her and her parents, that's just saliva, dear. Everything is fine. The parents disagreed and threatened to sue, so he put on some gloves, pulled some of the worms out of her mouth and said, see? And Dad goes, huh, those ain't worms at all. That's saliva.
So she's going to be on the next edition of America's Got Talent, I'm sure.
You want to see my mouth worms? Mouth worm circus. She's got a little Ferris wheel.
Yeah.
It'll be perfect.
Trapeze act.
This is true, really news. Send email to TITR@netradio.network.